Hello and welcome. The last time you saw my Polygon Siskiu D5, I had just finished an experimental installation of a 29-inch wheel and tire in a 27.5-inch fork. Now, that was just a proof of concept. It was not intended to be permanent. The thing is, it did just barely fit. Honestly, if I'd had a little more clearance, I would have called it good enough and considered the project finished. But that was not the case, and I couldn't help but think of the terrible, terrible consequences of picking up a pine cone and locking up the wheel. So I went ahead and I did order a 29-inch fork. Probably not what you were expecting, because the fork that this replaces was an SR Suntour Epixon air fork, while what I ended up with is an SR Suntour X1 spring fork. And I chose that for the simple reason of simplicity. Now, this bike originally came with the SR Suntour XCE spring fork. My understanding is that the X1 is the successor to that model. It's got 100 mil of travel, and honestly, for the kind of riding that I do, that's more than enough travel. I mean, I'm not a big sender, and in fact, as I said in the past, if both of my wheels are off the ground at the same time, something has gone horribly wrong. That's just not the kind of riding I do. Now, what I like about the SR Suntour X1 is that it does have a lockout, just like the XCE did. And it's got an adjustable preload. And, you kind of take those with a certain grain of salt. What I did on this particular install is I put it in the middle setting. Now, I did not go and record the entire installation process because, well, there are so many out there, and in fact I've got a few of those, so I didn't really feel the need to rehash that particular territory. The thing is, I was planning to provide some test ride footage for you, and I forgot to put the micro SD card into the action camera, so that will have to happen later. Now, another thing that I did is kind of my duh moment. So as it turned out, the brake rotors that were on the wheels were 160 millimeter. This bike is set up for 180s. I could have probably bodged something together with some shims or spacers with the caliper, but I didn't really want to finagle brakes. They're a little too important to take chances with, in my opinion. So I went to the nearest local bike shop, which was about a half-hour drive away. Not too bad. And I bought myself a brand new Shimano 180 millimeter brake rotor. So as it turns out, you actually can install a new brake rotor on your wheel in the back of a Hyundai Tucson using nothing but a multi-tool. So I guess I'm kind of glad I always carry one with me. And, what else? I also took the opportunity to upgrade the pedals. I was still running the stock pedals after all these years. And boy, they look it. They've seen a few miles. What I put on instead was a pair of race face chesters. Now, in other bikes, I've used Rock Bros and Fukers, basically copies of race face chesters. This time I went with the original article, which has, as I understand it, a rebuildable spindle. And while I don't have any footage of the ride, I can tell you for a certainty that these are really, really good pedals. Very, very grippy. So some may be wondering about weight. Well, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't measure it. I would expect it would be about the same as the XCE was, since a similar construction. 32 millimeter stanchions, so it does have some mass. The thing is, if that weighs, say, like a pound and a half more than the Epixon which it replaced, I'm really not going to lose any sleep over that. To be completely candid, I'm not worried about that pound and a half, when it could be said, in all fairness, that I could stand to lose 25 pounds. I think that would be a much more noticeable improvement in my ride quality, to be honest. And I am working on it. Trust me, I'm working on it. So I did measure the bottom bracket height after, and it turns out to be 33 centimeters. And as you can see from the ends of my crank arms, any increase in height is definitely going to help me to avoid rock strikes. Between rock strikes and the wheels getting hung up on roots, particularly during climbs, I really do not think I'm going to miss the 27.5s. Now, I know a lot of people like them, and if you do, hey, more power to you. I'm just telling you what works for me. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. There is a link to a playlist for the Siskiu, lower left, and there's a link to another video, lower right, that I'm pretty sure you would enjoy. And as always, seriously, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your time and your interest. Goodbye, and have a wonderful day.